Welcome to the Pre-Snap Podcast presented by LineStar, your top NFL player prop bets for Monday Night Football Week 7. Alongside Tyler Wiemann, I'm Shannon Sommerville. We've got some great picks, and Tyler, I'm feeling good today on this Monday to start the week off. I had some great wins from my teams, the Yanks, the Georgia Bulldogs. The Jets didn't come through, but the Liberty did, so that's all that counts. 3 out of 4 ain't bad for my teams. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely had a great weekend. Congrats to your Yankees. Dodgers-Yankees World Series going to be wild. And the ratings should probably be out of control.
Yeah. Tyler, I sense a little, not as enthusiastic as I know you would be for a Padres-Yankees World Series, which actually I would have preferred and would have been awesome for our show here, you being the avid Padres fan. So, you know what, though? You got to root for the Yankees now, right? Because it's against the Dodgers. So you're leaning Yankees, right?
I'm just not rooting for anybody.
Well, how about tonight's contest? We've got some good ones on the slate in Monday Night Football, so let's get into that matchup. We've got 2 games on the slate, so a doubleheader on this Monday. We've got Baltimore going to Tampa Bay to take on the Bucs. Both teams 4-2 and looking like at least the Ravens are looking at one of the best teams, and then the Bucs have been pretty consistent as well. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, we're going to have the Chargers going up against the Arizona Cardinals. Both teams have been wildly inconsistent. So as far as that second game, I'm a little more, prepared to bet on things in the first game because I think it's a high game total. We've got a game total of 50 in that Ravens-Bucs game, which should be awesome. And then the Chargers-Cardinals game is at 44 for the over-under there. Chargers are 3-2 in the year. The Arizona Cardinals are 2-4. It's just kind of crazy because one week they're like beating the 49ers. The next week they just are getting blown out by the Packers. So it's hard to really gauge what that team's about. And then the Chargers have been dealing with some injuries here and there, and it's just kind of hard to know what we're going to expect out of that game, but we'll talk about it when we get into our props for today. Of course, our props are coming to you from the LineStar App PropsAI tool, which is the tool that can help you find the best value in the prop market. It's a great tool that should help you whether you're playing in NFL, NBA, which is coming out tomorrow. Tyler, Nick's season is here. Let's go. Pretty pumped about that. We'll also be having our NBA props coming out tomorrow. Now, last week on Monday Night Football, we need to give ourselves a hand for basically almost a perfect show. We had Dalton Kincaid over 3.5 receptions. He cashed that one. Tyler, your Conklin pick didn't hit, but Breece Hall over 24.5 receiving yards. And your touchdown call hit, though. That was a Josh Allen rushing touchdown plus 145. Plus, I had to sub in my James Cook touchdown pick. We subbed out for Garrett Wilson. He cashed on that. So it was a successful last Monday Night Football. So we've got some high standards for ourselves that we've got to live up to this week. Let's get it rolling. Let's start off with LineStar's PropsAI pick of the night. And we're going Mike Evans for the Bucs over 58.5 receiving yards. LineStar's projection is 72.6. And while he was originally listed on the injury report with a hamstring, he was taken off and should be full go tonight, averaging just over 51 receiving yards per game. Now, we did just have 34 receiving yards last week against the New Orleans Saints, but let's be honest, he was just tied up in a battle with Marshawn Lattimore the entire game. Now he's going up against the Ravens, who allow the fewest rush yards per game, but their secondary is where I think the Bucs will try to target them, and that is where they are weakest. 28th in pass defense DVOA, specifically against the wide receiver ones. I think Mike Evans might be in a good spot to go over that 58.5 receiving yards line. It was a little bit lower. It has since gone up, but Mike Evans is in a good spot. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I love the spot. Good wide receiver ones have been torching Baltimore. McLaurin had 53 yards, but 2 touchdowns. Chase went for 193. Keon Coleman had 51. CeeDee Lamb, 67. Devontae Adams, 110. This Baltimore team is just giving it up to the wide receiver one. And they're getting beat deep, which is, one of Mike Evans' strongest points. So I like the spot for him to get deep and get over 58.5.
Now, we usually have 4 picks whenever there's 2 games on Monday, but today it seemed like in the prop betting market, the lines have just exploded, not to the point where we can bet the under, but just a lot of lines. We saw J.K. Dobbins' line skyrocket for his rushing yards total from 70, or it was around 70 when it opened up, and now it's pushing 80. We also had Lad McConkey, which we were interested in, which I actually said on our pick show over the weekend, like, I like that pick, go get it. And I'm glad I said it on that show because it is now 7 yards higher for his receiving yards total than it was. So this is kind of a tougher game, especially coming into this one a little bit later than we normally give out picks. So now let's go ahead and, Tyler, you and I pick our best bets of the night. What you got for us?
I'm going to go with Trey McBride, over 51.5 receiving yards. LineStar projections 55.6. Consensus is 55. Chargers are a very tough defense, but they're 22nd on our team defense tool versus the tight end. McBride's been over in 3 of 5. Chargers are allowing 54.4 yards per game. Mm-hmm. And they've only faced 3 real pass catching tight ends. And in those games, they're allowing 60 yards per game to the tight end one. And McBride is an elite pass catching tight end. So I love the spot for McBride to get over.
Yeah, I really like McBride here. I think this is, if you're going to look at receiving, any kind of receiving prop for the Arizona Cardinals at this one, McBride's probably the best bet. I know Marvin Harrison, like, it doesn't seem like they're all that interested in getting him too involved in the passing game. I don't know what's going on there, but Trey McBride's been super reliable, and I think he'll get there tonight against a Chargers defense that has been dealing with some injuries. We are likely to not see Joey Bosa in this one, which I think has domino effect across the whole defense for the Chargers in this one. So something to take note of there. But I like the play here for Trey McBride. So I know a lot of people's fantasy teams might, or fantasy matchups this week might rest on these 2 games tonight. And Trey McBride's probably one of those guys that could have a big night for fantasy purposes as well. For my pick, I'm going back to that Baltimore Tampa Bay game, and we're going with Baltimore tight end Mark Andrews over 28.5 receiving yards. LineStar likes this one a lot too. 37.8 is our projection for Andrews' receiving yards total. He's been averaging 31 receiving yards per game, and I feel like he's just starting to get a little bit unlocked over the last few games. And he'll be going up against a good Tampa Bay Bucs defense, but they do rank 29th in pass defense DVOA versus the tight end position specifically. 3 of the last 4 tight ends have gone over 50 receiving yards. Foster Moreau for the Saints had 54. Kyle Pitts had 88. Dallas Goedert had 62. Mark Andrews can absolutely get there in this one. He's one of Lamar Jackson's favorite, most reliable targets in this one. There is the question of, okay, is it going to be Mark Andrews or is it going to be Isaiah Likely? I like to lean Mark Andrews in this particular play. I feel like Isaiah Likely is a kind of a hit or miss option, which you could play that one as well if you like him a little bit better. But I just feel like from a consistency factor, I like Mark Andrews' spot for tonight. And especially what we've seen from the last couple games, I think he could get over that 28.5 receiving yards mark. And the Ravens also play at a very fast pace in this one. I think if you're the Tampa Bay Bucs defense, your number one focus is trying to stop Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson from rushing the ball. So I think that will open up the passing game a little bit. And who's going to dominate over the middle of the field on those routes is going to be Mark Andrews. So that's kind of my play here on this one. What do you make of that, trying to stop, Derrick Henry in this one, which his rushing yards total, I think is about 80 or so, or probably higher than that. Let me check what it is. But what's your opinion on that?
I mean, it's a tough task. Derrick Henry's just been an absolute beast, and they're being creative in that running game, scheming some openings for him, and it's gonna be hard to stop him like it always is. Now, Tampa Bay has a very strong front, but if he gets into that secondary, it's trouble. So,
I was kind of
looking at one run.
Yeah, looking at that total for Derrick Henry, I just looked it up. It's 85.5 rushing yards, which I would have loved had Vita Vea been listed as not playing for tonight. He was originally on the injury report Saturday with a hamstring injury. That's one of the best defensive players for the Bucs who could have been out in this one, but reports are saying he's going to be in, and he's a key factor to stopping Derrick Henry. Last year, when the Titans faced them with Derrick Henry, he was able to hold Derrick Henry to under 30 rushing yards in this one. And given it is a different animal because you have Lamar Jackson as a rushing threat as well, which I think just completely unleashes Derrick Henry's abilities. So you do have to take that into consideration, but I can't quite pull the trigger on the over for those rushing yards. I know that's going to be a popular one, which is why I mention it.
80 whatever is high for anybody.
Yeah. So I'm not going there, but I also feel like it's hard to fade him too. even though that's a bit high against this good defense. It's hard to fade Derrick Henry these days.
Oh, yeah.
That's for sure.
David Montgomery only 35 yards. Javonte Williams only 12. Saquon Barkley at 84, but I think Vita Vea was out for that game.
Gotcha.
Bijan Robinson 61, Kamara 40. This is the spot that we've actually been betting the under. We bet under in both the Bijan Robinson and Alvin Kamara one, but
Yeah.
I don't really want to do it with Derrick Henry. He's just, and it's really the scheme for this rushing team. You know, it's just they find ways at the end of the game to get him in space, and he just keeps ripping off some big runs. And you give him one run of 35, and he's probably hitting the over.
Yeah, just an unbelievable running back that's been a star for a lot of fantasy owners this season. And the other one that I did want to mention that I gave out again was Lad McConkey. Quentin Johnston is listed as, I think, questionable in this matchup, and he's just gotten so many targets over the last couple of weeks. His target rate ranks 12th among 66 NFL wide receivers with 23 targets. So he's in a good spot, but you know, it's moved up since I got it at 45.5. I think it's now closing in on 54. So I can't endorse that there, even though he is a Georgia Bulldog and we're celebrating our big win over Texas. Why not celebrate it with a Georgia Bulldog? I don't know. I still kind of like the over there, not gonna lie, but can't quite go there and give it out as one of our endorsed picks here on the show. So if you've got any locks for us, make sure to drop them in the comments. You know, we're all trying to help each other out and beat the books. And if you comment, it also enters you into our prop bets contest, whereby if we go 4 for 4, one randomly selected commenter will win $60. Basically, we're putting all of these picks on a ticket on Underdog Fantasy, a $10 flex ticket. So if we win, we're giving out the winnings to a randomly selected commenter. So it's that easy to be in it to win it. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment below, and you're in it. Let's get to touchdown calls of the day. Tyler, where are you headed for an anytime touchdown today?
I'm going to go with Trey McBride plus 240. I think this line is just way too much value to pass up. The Chargers are very, very tough versus the wide receivers and a little bit weak versus the tight end, 22nd on our team defense tool. In a game that Arizona is likely going to need to throw, I think the most likely passing touchdown goes to Trey McBride, and we're getting at 240. So I got to go plus 240 Trey McBride.
Yeah, that's some great juice there. I would love to go Derrick Henry, but at minus 210 for an anytime touchdown, no thanks. The value is just not there for me. But where it is there for me is with Chris Godwin. The Tampa Bay Bucs wide receiver is plus 165 for an anytime touchdown. And this is a guy with 5 touchdowns in 6 games this season. He's had 5 red zone targets just over the last 4 weeks. That's the most of any receiver in this game. And he is going up against a great Baltimore rush defense, but their secondary is, I think, susceptible here. And they're 10th in opponent red zone scoring, which is good, but they also rank 27th in EPA per pass, which I think is an area where Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Bucs are going to try to exploit this Baltimore defense. So I love Chris Godwin here in his spot at plus 165. You could go Mike Evans as well, but I feel like the better value here is for plus 165 with Godwin. So liking that pick there. And so let's go Godwin, McBride. Let's see if we can't go 2 for 2 on our touchdown calls like we did last week. And who would have thought last week's Jets-Bills contest, we were almost a perfect show. So hopefully we can turn in some good picks today. Again, if you've got any great ones, make sure to drop them below. Let's talk about the game total and the spread in this one. First, we've got Baltimore at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay 3.5 point underdogs at home. What are you thinking here?
I think the Ravens keep it rolling. I would bet them to win the game. And I think right now there's also some places showing +4 for the Bucs.
Oh.
And I mean at +4, I gotta go Bucs.
All right.
But
well,
once again, I'm never betting the sides. I'm not doing it.
I know, yeah. Maybe not going
I
there
do
today.
like to live bet a little bit, but I don't like that pregame line.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair enough. The total's at 50. I don't mind going over here, given the fact that Baltimore plays at such a fast rate, and you know Baker Mayfield's going to have to kind of air it out quite a bit to try to take advantage of the weaker Baltimore secondary. Not weak, but you know, of all their, I guess, Achilles heels on that team, which there are not many. I feel like that's the area that they can try to target. So I don't mind the overplay here. Baltimore, I just like the Ravens lately have just really impressed me from, all facets. Just, I feel like any defensive coordinator has to be just like pulling out their hair, trying to figure out how to stop both Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. So, and you know what? When they've been challenging Lamar Jackson to throw the ball, he's been super accurate too, which I think is one of the most impressive things about this Baltimore Ravens team is we're seeing some of the passing game. Zay Flowers kind of emerging. You have a Mark Andrews. So, got to go with the Ravens in this one. Let's go to the next game, though. Chargers at Arizona. Arizona, this is just +1 at home for Arizona. What way do you lean here?
Chargers. I would be shocked if they don't win this game. I think Arizona is just, they're too inconsistent to deal with the Chargers' consistency.
Yeah. And I think that they are dealing with some injuries specifically on their defensive line. So that could be an area that the Chargers try to exploit. You're talking about a Chargers team that's predicated on their run game. That's going to just, in my opinion, I think they're going to try to run the ball down their throats. And I think they might be able to do it given the depth question at some of the defensive positions for the Arizona Cardinals in this one. And then we've seen that Arizona offense be so inconsistent. Like, what are they? I don't get it. So that's kind of my take on that. It's hard to bet on the Cardinals right now, given the lack of consistency we've seen from them. Man, I feel like it's probably really hard to be a Cardinals fan. I mean, I have a lot of sympathy being a Jets fan. Like, last night was brutal, but what's your take?
I don't think their offensive scheme has been very good. Like, Marvin Harrison hasn't really been used very well. I don't think there's much diversity in his routes that they have him running. I just don't totally understand what they're trying to do. I think the team could be much better offensively than it is.
Yeah, and especially for my fantasy team. We got Kyler Murray. I got Kyler Murray on it. We got James Conner, who is a great running back. It's just, hasn't been panning out for the Shannon Cooper Troopers, but we'll see what happens in tonight's contest against the Chargers. But those are our picks for tonight. Let us know what you think. If you are tailing us, let us know in the comments. Plus, if you don't have Underdog Fantasy, Sleeper, Chalkboard, ParlayPlay, make sure to download it. You use the promo code LineStar, though, so you can get a deposit match. Plus, you can also get 1 free month of the LineStar app, and you can check out that PropsAI tool, which is what we're using for this show and what we've been referencing. So you can check that out for a free trial. So great way to do that. Again, links are below. Use that promo code LineStar. Good luck in all of your picks for tonight. Let's hope we can have another near perfect or perfect show for tonight. Good luck, everybody. We'll see you guys tomorrow.